Hey, a good morning, a good afternoon, a good night, depending on where you are around the world. You're listening and watching The Lee Michaels Show on thepowerofvoices.com. We're streaming live right now on YouTube, on Facebook, and around the world. 424-227-9461 is the number to call in to be a part of the show. It's Throwback Thursday. Let's go back, way back in the time. Whatever you want to talk about, a little historic talk, we can do that. But none of that Tammy conspiracy theory stuff, okay? I've got a headache after listening to her for an hour. Woo! You know, it's amazing to me that people talk about stuff and it's just no foundation, no credible connection. Nobody brought to court, convicted. I thought in the United States of America, you were innocent until proven guilty. And conspiracy theories, ideas, concepts, hearsay, doesn't matter. Why do Republicans want to keep pulling up stuff that has been no connection, no foundation, no indictments against the Clintons as relates to people who have mysteriously or died by natural causes or somebody killed them, and they want to say, well, they worked for the Clintons, so the Clintons, had them knocked off because they were going to testify against the Clintons. Listen, folks, for those who believe those type of things, and after 20 years or better, they've never been to court on any of those conspiracy theories, those stories, those hearsays, those things that some people say, well, they worked for them, so they must have killed him. Come on, people. Until someone has been indicted and gone through the legal process, it's just hearsay. Until then, forget about it. You want to get on a radio show and talk about that, it makes you sound like a clown. Because you can't make that true connection. You have no basis, no foundation, no credible information. It's just hearsay, coincidence. Listen, if the Clintons had someone murdered, I'd be the first to say, lock them up. Take them through the process. Do what you got to do. But it is so sad, and this is the kind of politics we play here in this country, that we're going to make people out of demons, criminals, when they've never been even charged. I think that's unfair. It's un-American to do that. Again, if the Clintons did something like that, even one person was murdered based on the Clintons not wanting them to be around for whatever reason, then they should be indicted and go through the legal process, and if found guilty, go to jail. But none of that has happened. See, I don't believe that you reach a certain plateau and you are immune to the legal process. I mean, we've seen some big-time people go to jail. So you can't categorically say that, well, they're the Clintons. Well, listen, when they were down in Arkansas, when all these stories were popping up, they were not multimillionaires. They were just two people who had come together, went to school together, got married, had a kid. Bill became the governor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're millionaires today. No question. But certainly when he was a peon little governor and running around doing some local politics, and people claimed that, he had this untouchable mob-like power, I don't buy into that. It, it doesn't add up. It's not on the charts. It's not the charts. See the charts? It's not there. So, to Tammy, the wild and crazy knuckle-dragging Republican that comes on before me every day, I have to sit here and listen to this stuff, man. Whew. At this point in my life, I'm not on any medication, but she makes my blood pressure go up. She did have a person on with her, Tanita, I think her name was, that gave her a good argument, but because they're friends, Tanita didn't knock her out. See, I'll knock her out. I'll knock her out like Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. See, I won't take it because it's just not right. You can't just, pull up to the microphone and pull some crap out of your butt because you read it on the internet or because somebody said it on YouTube. When did that become credible? When did that become the Bible, the Holy Grail? For real? Hell, I can get on YouTube every day and make some, wild and crazy statements. But that doesn't mean it's factual. That's a danger of the internet. And so many times we confuse what we hear, see, and read is 100. It's not. There are websites out there that just straight up make up shit every day. Hell, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that if one day I go on Facebook and it says, Lee Michaels died last night. Causes unknown. It wouldn't surprise me. It'd scare the piss out of me, but it wouldn't surprise me because they do it on people all the time. Generally celebrities, so they're not going to pick on me because I'm not a celebrity. I'm just some jackass on the radio. Having fun and, trying to pass out some credible information. So I wouldn't be a target for something like that unless there was somebody in my past, one of those girls might put something out like that. But hey, it would make me laugh. And then you know what? I'd have to come back and show my face and say, hey, y'all, that's some not credible information. I'm still here. Y'all going to have to put up with me at least one more day. So, listen, be careful about what you read and don't believe everything that you see and hear on the internet because much of it is just not credible. It's not real. So don't fall into that trap of going for the okie doke because you'll end up having to eat those words. It's happened to me. You read something and you think it's credible coming from what looks like a credible source, and it's not real. The Olympics are going on, and the American teams racked up some more gold yesterday. They're on fire, breaking records. It's incredible. Saw the ladies volleyball on the beach in the sand kind of thing last night against, Switzerland? For a minute there, I didn't think they were going to be able to pull it out. But they did. It was pretty spectacular. I didn't stay up too late last night watching it because I was a little tired. So I turned in, got a little rest, because I wanted to be fresh for you today on thepowerofvoices.com. The Lee Michaels Show is live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon on YouTube and Facebook Live. I might even hook up my iPad here in a few minutes and maybe go on Periscope. What do you think? Think we ought to do that? Where's my iPad? I'll do that. I'll take a break here in a little bit, and I'll fire up the iPad and put us on. I don't know. I'll either do Blab or maybe I'll do Periscope. I don't know. Either or. But anyway, we'll have a little fun here today. It's Throwback Thursday. Most of the music radio stations do a throwback thing and play the oldies and go back. I figure I don't want to play any music. Hell, everybody's doing that. Let's do some throwback news, some events. What happened on this day? On the 11th of August. So pull up your Google and do a little Googling, and let's do this together. Call in to the radio station here at 424-227-9461, and maybe fire off a story or two that you remember from back in the day. Let's make it fun. Have a little group participation kind of thing. Beautiful day here in Southern California, and I hope all is good where you are. I talked to my son. My son Corey. He's in Illinois. He lives in Vegas, but he's in Illinois to see his neurologist today because, 3 weeks or so ago now, he had surgery on his neck. They fused a couple of discs together. And some side effects from it. He's getting checked out now with a neurologist. It's so weird. You can go to a doctor and they diagnose, ABC. And then they go in to fix ABC and you come out and there's an XYZ that was caused from the ABC. Scary. But it does happen. And I think too often things like that happen because, unfortunately, when you're dealing with humans make mistakes. They overlook stuff or do things they really didn't need to do. It's like you go into the hospital for an operation and a doctor comes in and says, oh, yeah, you need a little blood thinner. 2 days or so before your operation. Now, why in the hell would you do that? Because you could go in to surgery and bleed. You might bleed out because of blood thinner. Your blood is too thin. It doesn't clot, So when they cut you, you go, blood flying all over. They say, what is it? We got a gusher. We got a gusher. So you better ask questions. Say, hey, doc, why do I need a blood thinner? I'm going in for surgery. What's up with that? Maybe you got the wrong damn patient. It happens. Trust me when I tell you, I know from experience. It happens. Doctors pick up a chart. Somebody else made an entry into your chart that's not you. Has nothing to do with your ailment. And they come in and start working on you because of what's in the chart. See, Ross Perot said the charts don't lie. I'll be damned. The charts can lie. Depends on what you put on the chart. So, ask questions. You've heard me say that before, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's so important. Because most people, when they go see a doctor or lawyer, dentist, people that, we respect because they've gone to school and they've got these big degrees up on the wall and, they're supposed to be experts, so you don't challenge them. And I say you better. Don't just take their word. Ask questions. Make them explain. And maybe during those questions, they might say, well, wait a minute. That's a good question. Let me look at hang on a second. I'll be right back. See, you just stimulated something in that doctor's mind that made him think. So that's a good thing. That's what I do. How y'all like my shirt? It's a throwback shirt. I felt kind of Hawaiian. How are you? How are you today? So, as a part of our throwback theme, I thought I'd throw a old Hawaiian shirt on. Feeling kind of festive. You know how I roll. Ain't no telling with Lee Michaels. I might say or do just about anything. So, what do you guys think of this Donald Trump guy? I mean, come on. The Donald makes statements and he'll say, oh, well, it was just a damn joke. That's the problem. That is a problem. He is confused as to what he's doing. He does not understand that when you're running for the presidency of the United States, you don't make jokes that are threatening to your opposition or to anyone. I don't know anywhere in history has a president been out on the stump and implied that someone may shoot someone else and then try to walk it back and say, well, it was just a joke. No, Donald. No, sir. Not funny, inappropriate, not presidential. That dog won't hunt. The American people are a lot smarter than that. We're not buying that one. No. No. And did I say no? Hell no. That ain't going to go. That one doesn't work, Donald. Most of the things that come out of your pie hole does not work. Most of the things don't make sense. For anyone who hasn't heard me say it before, let me say it again. I think from day one, Donald Trump never dreamed of being this far down the road as it relates to running for the White House. I think he thought that maybe somewhere during the primary he'd get bumped out. But because there were 16 other weak, did I say weak? Weak candidates, this stumblebum was able to get to where he is. And I've said it before. The Republicans don't have a damn clue because they're stuck on yesterday. They're still thinking like the Reagan administration. Have you ever noticed that when things get a little murky and they don't know where to go, they fall right back to Reagan era? Reaganomics? So, in other words, the Republicans have not come up with any fresh ideas in 30 plus years. And you wonder why people don't like you. Because you're antiquated like a troglodyte, Neanderthal, like this shirt I got on. Don't y'all talk about my shirt. But really, I mean, when are the fresh ideas? It's the same old, same old. Push back on any minorities. Don't let the Mexicans come in. Lower the taxes. Raise the amount of money to the private sector. Let's take care of all of our crony-ass friends. Let's take all the government money and put it over here in the private sector. Because that's where these criminal-ass... Okay, calm down. Politicians make their money cutting deals with friends and lobbyists. That's how, when these guys walk out of office, they don't have a care in the world because they're getting paid. I certainly wish that we could change the rules and make it so that you can't run for maybe more than 2 or 3 terms and your ass is out. Go home. Make them work hard for the first 2 or 3 terms, and then they got to go. Automatically out. Ain't no negotiation. No. You get one shot for 2 or 3 terms as a House of Representatives. Same thing with the senators. Same thing with governors. We already have a term limit on the president. Okay? I think it'll keep them from being career politicians, number one. And I think we should also make it illegal for lobbyists to wine and dine and do all the things that they're allowed to do now. That crap needs to go. That's the only way you're going to clean up the government. That's the only way you're going to clean up the process. Is take the money out. Take the money out. As the old saying goes, follow the money and you'll find the truth, or you'll find the lies, you'll find the problems, you'll find the answer. It's all in money, 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 the mean green. It is the root of all evil. You guys have heard all of this before. And it's we the people can bring about the change if we get off our fat asses and make it happen. Don't just sit around and say, well, you know how it is. That's where it's always been. That's where it's going to be. No. Don't bite that apple. No. No. No, 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 no. If you want to go back on this Throwback Thursday and go back to when the men that pen the Constitution, the Bill of Rights and all of that, there are opportunities in those writings, in those credible documents that says we are the government. We the people. We just need to exercise our power. And it starts with your vote. Don't sit around and say, well, you know, I guess it'll change one day, but I'm going to sit here and have my my dinner, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go to work tomorrow, and everything's will be fine. No, get involved. You got to break that chain. You know, President Obama didn't win 2 terms by himself. We did it. The majority of the votes came in for President Barack Obama. The Electoral College was unanimous because we voted, because we didn't sit at home. People stood in lines. I stood in lines in Maryland the second time around. I stood in lines in Florida the first time around. Okay? So we've already proven that it works. The problem is you stayed home during the midterms. And that's when the Republicans outsmarted the Democrats because we got fat and comfortable. And you thought, hey, man, it's, we're good. We got the lead in the House and the Senate. We got a president that we like. And everything's lovely. So I'm going to go play golf today. I'm not going to go vote. Dummy. That was not smart. That's called sleeping at the wheel. You thought everything was okie dokie. No, 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 no. See, while you were sleeping and doing nothing, playing golf, going to play tennis, or staying home watching some jackass television show, I said it. That's what you did, because you didn't go to the poll. Every election is as important as the one before. Just because it's not a presidential election doesn't mean that you shouldn't vote. Because that midterm solidifies or changes the power of the president and his or her capabilities. There's so much at stake on November 8th, 2016. We have one Supreme Court justice seat empty. There are only 8 justices on the bench right now. It's supposed to be 9. So the next president, because they're not going to let this president do it, and to that right there is another rule that needs to be changed. It should not be able to stonewall or do nothing, sit on your fat ass, and not hear the argument for a new judge because you don't want to. That needs to be changed. Again, it's disrespect to the person who's in the seat right now. You're saying, I'm not going to let you do your damn job, in spite of the fact of the importance of having 9 justices at the Supreme Court level. The most powerful court in the land. And you would rather have 8 judges than 9 so you can walk around with one hand tied behind your back? That's too much at stake. Things need to change. Things need to change. The only way to bring about the change is you have to stand up, be heard, cast your vote, and bring about the change. Now, let me say something to the Black Caucus. I think y'all sat down. I do. I don't think you pushed hard enough. You didn't caucus properly. You didn't support your president. I forgot about you. I didn't hear you talking. Not enough press conferences. Not enough town hall meetings. I didn't see you standing behind the president enough. Better learn unity. Learn that. Get it. It's important. At the same time, if you don't believe that the president is right, then be heard. Stand up. Say something. But being quiet is nothing. It's not good. One man as the president of the United States is just a person with that title. Because of the way our government is constructed, put together, there's checks and balances that have to be adhered to. The president can make recommendations, come up with ideas and send it down to the House and the Senate, and they have to be voted on. And it also works the other way. Bills can be written in the House and the Senate and sent up to the president for her approval. He signs off on it, then it becomes law. He can veto it, send it back. Say, no, I don't like this. You need to work on this little section over here. Fix that. And then I'll sign it. Take some of the fat out of it. Too many Klingon pieces on this particular bill. See, that's a thing that these politicians play. So if I'm a House representative, a representative in the House, and I come up with a bill, and I want to write an infrastructure bill. I want the government to approve a budget to rebuild all the bridges that need to be rebuilt in America. I'll just use that as an example. So it goes around to my colleagues. We filibuster, talk about it, jump up and down, and agree or disagree or whatever, right? Then when it's time to vote, these guys say, well, look, Lee, I'll vote for this, but listen, I need a little something over here in Kansas. I got this guy that's been bugging me about do a little farm bill support. So can we put a little fat on this and tie this to the bill? No. You write your own damn bill, bring it in, and I'll support it. But let's not add that to this because then that adds a bunch of other bovine to it, and somebody else might kick something else in. So by the end of the day, you might have 16 little pieces hanging on to this first idea. And that gives a lot of other people an opportunity to knock stuff down because all these little pieces by themselves probably ain't worth that much anyway. But that's when the favors, it's called the pork. That's when all that stuff comes in, and that's where the money is. All right, I'm going to take a quick break here and come back on the other side, and I'll tell you a little more about how that works. It is what it is. That's why we need to vote the clowns, the career politicians, the guys who cut too many deals already. Let's get them out. You're listening to The Lee Michaels Show, keeping it real. Real deal talk. Okay? We'll be back in a moment on thepowerofvoices.com.
thepowerofvoices.com, covering topics from wealth management to understanding your tweens to getting help for that misbehaving pet. It's all right here, just for you.
Attention Las Vegas residents. Olympic Cleaning Services is the company for all your green cleaning needs. Call us now, 866-984-7444. Olympic Cleaning Services specializes in residential, commercial, construction, move-in, move-out, carpet cleaning, auto detailing, and we also provide emergency services when you need it. Call us now, 866-984-7444. For all first-time customers, you'll receive 15% off. Call us now, 866-984-7444, or go to OlympicCleaningservices.com. Go green today.
I'm a volunteer at United Way. I'm asking people around the neighborhood what they think this place needs.
Wi-Fi everywhere.
More playgrounds. Oh, more ice cream trucks.
I was thinking more money in the pockets of local families come tax time.
Can I change my answer?
I was just kidding about the ice cream.
When it comes to getting better tax refunds into the hands of local families, what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org, because great things happen when we live united. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
All right, everybody in the car, let's go.
What are we gonna do first when we get there, Mom? Go for a hike?
Sure.
What about canoeing? Can we go canoeing too?
I don't see why.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
It's not that far, sweetie.
Are we there yet?
Yep, we're here.
Already?
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Our website, crowncitynews.com, has written news stories and videos from news to talk, entertainment, politics, and more. Our news is local to the San Gabriel Valley, but you'll still hear and see the biggest national stories connecting our communities to each other and to the world. We highlight entrepreneurs with businesses that can help you in the next crisis, organizations that can help your families find all kinds of services, and individuals with stories to inspire you. And you can find us on any device, anytime, anywhere, and on TV station KVMD in SoCal. Crown City Network. We connect your world.
While you're feeding your body, feed your mind with thepowerofvoices.com.
Welcome back to the powerofvoices.com. The Lee Michaels Show is live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time. That's noon time in the Midwest, and 1 o'clock, that's 1 p.m. on the East Coast. So join us every day, Monday through Friday. I thank you, appreciate you taking the time to be with me and, being a part of the show. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here talking to myself, and that's no fun. Although, some people get a kick out of that, talking to themselves. But I like to engage and have a conversation with you and share some of my thoughts. And this is a Throwback Thursday. So we're talking about stuff from back in the day and what makes, what's happening today, the reason why. So I've been talking a little bit about the process, about how bills get passed or don't, and how they add stuff to the bills that has nothing to do with, let's say, the infrastructure bill. So you got all these little pieces hanging on it. It's fat. They call it pork. And it really weights down the main idea, the purpose, the original bill. You might have Senate Bill 6245A. And then a part of that bill might be 16 other little pieces that has nothing to do with the original idea. I don't particularly care for that. Because if that main bill gets kicked out, what happens to all those little pieces? And that's where the crazy comes in. That's where the shenanigans happen. It's where the backroom deals get cut. It's not a good thing, I don't think. Now, you might disagree. You might have another way of looking at that. And that's okay, too. We won't always see things the same way. But we need to try to get closer together on that idea. Because we are supposed to be the United States of America. Not sometimes, but all the time. Not just on Fridays, but every day of the week. So let's get straight. Let's get together. Let's be united. As opposed to being party divided. I think if both parties came closer to the center in real truth, honesty, and really coming closer together, that would only benefit all of Americans. But as long as we have all these extremist ideologies, not much is going to change. That's called country divided. As long as we got people out like Donald Trump stumping about the stuff that he talks about, becomes really concerning and scary because it makes no sense. He shows his underbelly every day about how little he knows about running anything, really. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing people tell me, well, he's a successful businessman. No, he isn't. No. See, I don't call pillaging, disrespecting, cheating, not honoring your handshake, agreements, contracts. I don't call that good business practices. That's just shy of being a criminal. No honor. That's what we got to talk about, honor. When you give a person your word, you shake their hand, you agree, in writing or not, you should live up to that. When people don't do that, I don't want to have a damn thing to do with them. Nothing. Zero. Nada. No honor. because they're going to screw you. I hear a song in my head. Smiling faces sometimes tell lies. By the group Undisputed Truth. And that's undisputed. Smiling in your face, stabbing you in the back. My boys, the OJs. What's up, Eddie? Even Eddie's pissed off. Eddie Levert from the OJs, he's upset. I saw some things on Facebook. He's getting engaged. Thank you, Eddie. Be heard, brother. Stand up. Say what's in your heart. We got you. You know? He has a right to be upset when a politician uses one of his songs like Love Train without permission. It's wrong. No honor, no respect. Only thieves and criminals do stuff like that. You got to respect somebody else's work. If you're in business and you're negotiating a contract and you finally get to the point where everybody agrees, then that's it. There's no modifications at that point. Once you sign off on it, you say, hey, okay. Done deal. Finished business. As long as both parties live up to what they agreed to in the contract, then there should be no dispute. Pay the bill. Don't come up with excuses. Well, we don't have the money. What? You don't have the money? So you lied to me up front when you agreed to pay me what we agreed on. Well, would you take 50% less now? Hell no. I didn't give you a 50% less on my work ethic. I finished the project on time or ahead of time. So why should I take less? Why should I take a shot in the butt when I shouldn't have to? I didn't do anything wrong. You like the project. Everybody's cool. Everything's working. So why should I? That shouldn't even come up for discussion. Now, in business, stuff happens. I get that. Sometimes, maybe during the process of a construction project, you get overruns. Maybe your business goes down. Your income level has changed. I get that. I understand how that could happen. But you don't hurt those who did what they were supposed to do. They should be at the top of your list of getting paid. Even if you don't pay yourself. I think that comes along with being a business owner. It's called sacrifices. It's called honor, respect, doing the right thing. But Donald Trump doesn't seem to understand those principles, ideas, concepts, whatever you want to call it. He plays by a different set of rules. Give me mine, screw you. Me, my, I, screw you. Donald Trump is not a trustworthy man. I'm sure he picks and chooses those that he's going to be honorable with. But there are too many people out there that have been screwed by this guy with 1,300 lawsuits. Well, that's business. No, it's not. That's being careless, disrespectful, and no honor. and me, my, I, screw you. Taking advantage of people and other small businesses. Even if you're a top 5 company, you should never lose money on a deal that you agreed and you lived up to your end of the bargain. Now, if you didn't, then you can't expect to get paid in full. Those are clauses in a contract generally that stipulate that. Say, well, if you don't deliver on time, then there's a 10% reduction in what we're going to pay you, as an example. Any overruns comes out of your pocket if you don't meet these deadlines. That's understood. That's agreed upon. It's in the contract. You see what I'm saying? But if everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, the contractor, the vendor, the service provider, there's no reason why you shouldn't be paid in full in a timely fashion. You know, I saw the news report. I saw a couple of them at least, of the piano company in New Jersey that sold $100,000 worth of pianos to the Taj Mahal owned by Donald Trump. Months later, he was still owed 100% of the contract, which was $100,000. It didn't state how many pianos was involved, but whatever number, it doesn't matter. If it's just one, it doesn't matter. The piano company that sold the pianos to the Taj Mahal is just a guy who buys the pianos from somebody else. And even if he was the piano manufacturer, it really doesn't matter because he has an expense. So if I'm the retail guy, I buy it from the manufacturer. I go to Yamaha and I buy a piano. Let's say the piano is $10,000 wholesale cost. The retail is $20,000. I discount them to you because you're going to buy 10 pianos. So I sell them to you for $15,000. I make a $5,000 profit. So it's a $100,000 bill. Months later, after continuously trying to get paid, the guy gets a phone call or letter or whatever it was, a communication saying that, hey, we don't have the money. And we don't know when we're going to have the money. So you're just going to have to wait. More time goes by. At the end of the day, the back and forth goes on for a while. At the end of the day, this little piano company had to settle for $70,000, so he took a $30,000 haircut. Another contractor, I think it was an architect or a contractor or whatever it was, he built a facility. I think it looked like a clubhouse. He got screwed. They beat him down to less than 50%, if I remember correctly. How do you do that? I mean, how do you have someone perform a service or provide you with a product, and then you make them take a haircut because your name is Donald Trump? Because you can get away with it because most people are not going to sue you because they're desperate. So they do the wait game, make you wait and wait and wait, and they know that, oh, he's probably hurting for certain now, so let's go ahead and put the nail in the coffin. Let's offer him 20% of what's owed. I'm telling you, I don't like that. I wouldn't do that to anyone. Because they have families, they have employees, they have vendors that they have to pay. And no one should take a shot in the butt because you're going to strong arm. That's gangster. That's some stuff you see out in the streets. So what makes Donald Trump not a criminal when he does stuff like that? Or anybody else? I'm not just going to pick on Donald Trump. But if your name is Walt Disney and you did that to people, you're just as bad. It's just not good. It's not a good idea. It's not healthy. It's not right. It's un-American. People get hurt in that process. Shouldn't go down like that. Come on, man. Let's have some honor. Is your word, your family name worth anything? See, your brand, you build a brand, whether you're using your personal name or Trump Enterprises or, Coca-Cola, it's a brand. It's supposed to mean something. Strength, consistency, greatness, flavor, honor. It's part of the throwback. It goes back from day one. The beginning. You got to start out right. That's the throwback. You got to go back to the beginning. When you sat there and negotiate a deal, that's the beginning. Then you perform the service or you deliver the product. That's the middle. And then the ending is getting paid. It's the 1, 2, 3. 3 parts to that. And if you don't honor all 3 parts on both sides, you got a problem. But strong-arming a vendor is not good business practices. That's showing no respect, no compassion towards the people you're doing business with. Me, my, I, screw you. No, Mr. Trump, screw you. It's time for you to feel the screws. America, don't vote for this guy. I'm not. You can do what you want to do, but I can't do it. Because in my heart and soul, there's a dark side to Donald Trump. We know that now. He's not the celebrity that we thought he was. It's all a facade. Be careful. Take a break here. Be back in a moment. The Lee Michaels Show, keeping it real. On thepowerofvoices.com. Be right back.
You having fun yet? Thepowerofvoices.com.
I'm Nancy Renee.
And I'm Adrienne Shapiro.
We're the founders of Access Advocacy, a nonprofit for the benefit of people with sickle cell disease.
We provide education and support for families, caregivers, and the medical community.
Join us every Tuesday at noon Pacific Time on thepowerofvoices.com.
We'll talk about current issues, what's on the horizon for treatment, and how to help families living with chronic diseases. And we look forward to you joining us on Tuesdays at noon Pacific on thepowerofvoices.com.
Attention Las Vegas residents. Olympic Cleaning Services is the company for all your green cleaning needs. Call us now, 866-984-7444. Olympic Cleaning Services specializes in residential, commercial, construction, move-in, move-out, carpet cleaning, auto detailing, and we also provide emergency services when you need it. Call us now, 866-984-7444. For all first-time customers, you'll receive 15% off. Call us now, 866-984-7444, or go to OlympicCleaningservices.com. Go green today.
Our website, crowncitynews.com, has written news stories and videos from news to talk, entertainment, politics, and more. Our news is local to the San Gabriel Valley, but you'll still hear and see the biggest national stories connecting our communities to each other and to the world. We highlight entrepreneurs with businesses that can help you in the next crisis, organizations that can help your families find all kinds of services, and individuals with stories to inspire you. And you can find us on any device, anytime, anywhere, and on TV station KVMD in SoCal. Crown City Network. We connect your world.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard. So you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need FeedThePig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at FeedThePig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Hey, Russell Wilson here, and I know how important exercise is.
It's essential. It's essential.
With Play 60, United Way and the NFL are helping kids stay active and play at least 60 minutes a day.
Healthy kids, healthy kids.
But what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60 because great things happen when we live united.
Donate.
Are you guys going to do that every time?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom. I had no idea how hard it would be and what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and ways for me to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics, but also information about the hurdles I was facing.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You must have thrown 1,000 pitches teaching him to hit a home run. Spent countless Saturdays running routes so he could learn to hit an open receiver. Endless afternoons teaching him how to hit the three-pointer. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit? Teaching boys that all violence against women is wrong is one of the most important things a man can do. Learn how to start the conversation at teachearly.org. Brought to you by Futures Without Violence and the Ad Council.
Welcome to the new world of talk radio, thepowerofvoices.com.
Okay, we're back on thepowerofvoices.com. It's the Lee Michaels Show. Thank you for holding on. And we're going to open up the phone lines here if you'd like to chime in, give us your opinion on some of the things that I've been talking about. And basically, I've been talking about honor and respect and living up to your commitment, your word. When you enter into a contract, an agreement, a handshake, there's two sides to that. But once you shake that hand, sign that contract or agreement, there should be no more changes unless you both come back to the table and negotiate a change. Because sometimes in certain situations that happens. It's maybe necessary to bring about that change. So to do that, again, both parties have to agree. But strong arming, when it's time to pay your vendor, it's not cool to do the push down because you don't want to pay. Because now you're taking advantage of someone. You're not living up to your word, what you agreed upon. So when you enter into agreements with someone, a company or an individual, let it be known. I agree 100% to this. And what you're saying is you agree to 100% as well. As long as you deliver, I will pay you. No ifs, ands, and buts. Period. And even if you, as a business owner, are having trouble with your finances after the fact, be honest. But don't tell them, I can't pay you, or let's negotiate, I'm only going to pay you a fraction of what is owed. You might have to come back and say, well, listen, I can pay you 50% now, and can we work out a payment plan? And if at such time that my cash flow comes into play better, then okay, I'll pay you up in full. But again, you go back and you get that agreement. But you don't just tell people, I don't have the money and I ain't going to pay you. Or I don't know when I'm going to pay you. Wait a minute, jackass. You're sitting here building a multi-million-dollar casino and you telling me you don't have no money? See, that's just a lie. Or you're just a horrible business person. Because you can't possibly tell me that you don't have the loans, the investment level to build this thing. And if you're telling me that your overruns are killing you, that again, there's three parts, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Your beginning was jacked up because you underestimated what it was going to cost. If you run out of cash during the process of building a casino, then your judgment, your projections, your chief financial officer need to be fired. Or you need to fire yourself. Because if you're this great business person that knows how to build buildings and companies and walls, and you've been doing it for a long time, you're 70 years old. No excuses. No excuses. None of this should be happening. Is this what you're teaching your children to be? Shame, shame, shame on you. That was Shirley and Company. What y'all know about that? My boy Joe Robinson's label. Shame, shame, shame on you. See, I worked a throwback in there. That's how we roll on the Lee Michaels Show. But see, I can flash back and go through all of my business deals that I've had. When I worked for Egmont Sonderling Broadcasting, I made a lot of money with that company. And I made him a lot of money. But he always lived up to his word. If he said, Lee, I'm going to pay you X number of dollars, I got it. There was a time when he and I were negotiating a contract when we were $5,000 apart. $5,000. And he says, no, I can't pay you that. I won't pay you that. I'm paying you more than I ever dreamed of paying a program director in all my business. I've never paid a program director this kind of money. I'm not going to do it. I said, we're $5,000 apart. So I can't do it. I said, well, I can't either. And we parted ways. I went home, didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have a job. A couple of days later, got a call from the competing radio station. My old friend, Marv Dyson, called me up and says, hey, man, heard you're looking for a job. I said, yeah. And he gave me a lot more than what I was trying to get from the competing station. And he lived up to his end of the deal. And I delivered what I said I was going to do. So that's the only way I know how to roll. Your word is all you got as a man, as a woman, as a human. It's called honor. My dad used to tell me, son, don't do anything that's going to damage your family name. He said, that's my name. Don't do anything to hurt it. That's my daddy's name. And I promised him I wouldn't do anything to hurt it. See what I'm saying? It's called honor. If you don't have anything else, you got your name. That should be important to you. That's all you got. That's your beginning. 1, 2, 3. Your beginning, when you're born. The 2 is your life, whatever period of time that is. The 3 is the ending, when you leave and go away. There are 3 parts to life. Some people will try to dissect that and make it 25 parts, but it's really 3 parts, 3 major parts. Your beginning, your life, and your ending. Let me take a moment here and say farewell to a fellow broadcaster, Frank Hollison, better known as Hot Dog, King Hot Dog, King Hot Dog the Great, who became the master storyteller. I grew up with this guy. He was on the radio station WHIH in Portsmouth, Virginia. He was a true talent. Magical. He used to have this little bit where he would play, people get ready, there's a train a-comin'. He would play that song, and then he would go around picking up people all over the Tidewater area. Norfolk, Newport News, Hampton, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Suffolk. And he would pick up people on the train. It was a creative little idea. And everybody would lean into the radio to listen to who he's going to pick up. Creativity. Then he would come on and do stories. And he would tie it into a song. That's how he became the master storyteller. I got to tell you, I'm so fortunate to have come along in the broadcast industry at a time when radio DJs, personalities, were allowed to be personalities. They had fun on the radio. They would come in every day with something different, new, engaging, compelling, and people were glued to it. Hot Dog was one of those personalities. I learned so much from him and others during that time. Paris Ely, Soul Ranger, Chester B, my main dog, Calvin Shakespeare Perkins, my boy Chuck. You know I love me some Chuck. That's my road dog. Between him and Calvin Shakespeare Perkins, Shakespeare was a rhymer. He'd rhyme everything. That's why they called him Shakespeare. Chuck King was a young guy. Chuck, I think, might have been a little younger than me at the time, but he got a shot on the radio, and we hung out. And I remember one day I went by the radio station and did some little bumpers, and he sent me what I did 40-some years ago on a CD not too long ago. And that is so near and dear to my heart because it was part of my humble beginnings. So when I would listen to Hot Dog, I was like a student. When I listened to Paris Ely, the Parisian jock, he came on at midnight. He was great. Scotty Andrews, Bob Jackson, Daddy Jack, Jack Holmes, and just a host of great air personalities. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for the inspiration, the guidance. And even to the guys that told me I would never make it in the business. It helped me because it made me go back home and work a little harder. So farewell to Frank Hollison, the dog, Hot Dog, King Hot Dog the Great, the master storyteller. Rest in peace, Frank. The wiener. Pass the mustard if you please. It's my honor to have known you. And to all the other great true air personalities. Our last hurrah is the internet. Keep that going. Keep the true talent going. Because that's what made radio what it is today. And it's so unfortunate that the powers that be don't value the talent the way they used to. Because the talent is what made the stations famous, not the reverse. At some point in time, the transition was made that the station was bigger than the talent. And that very well may be true today because they don't allow talent on the air. And you could be making a lot more money if you hired good talent. I hate to get on this bandwagon. No, I don't. I love getting on this bandwagon because I love telling the truth. I love telling the stories that are important for young people to understand how we got to where we are today as a part of a Throwback Thursday. You got to understand where we came from. You got to understand the one, the beginning. You can't have a two without the one. You can't have a two without the one. You can't go to three without the two and the one. It's in chronological order. So you got to understand how the business started and the value of true talent on the radio and television and print media. It's all the same. Talented people being creative. You cannot succeed without being creative. And that applies to any kind of business. Anything that you want to do in life. You've got to be creative. Even in a marital relationship, you got to be creative. You can't just do the same old, ho-hum. That's why a lot of marriages fail. Not enough spice, not enough variety, not enough creativity, not enough surprises. That old wow factor. See, back in the day, the radio stations had that oh wow factor. Whether it was a song or whether it was a DJ that introduced that song, he created this whole image in your mind. It was like watching a movie because of creativity. That's the magic of great radio. Great radio thrives, grows on talent. Talent, whether it's coming from the music, the artist, talent. The commercials, being creative and coming up with the little creative stories in the commercials, talent. The DJ, introducing those great songs, talent. You get any knucklehead on the radio today. That's not talent. Well, man, we got to be street. You know, we got to be able to relate to the music. Yeah, I agree. You do have to relate to the music. You have to be a storyteller. You have to connect. You have to be engaging. But what happened to intelligence? Intellect. Respect. Y'all forgot about that because the people that's running these operations now were never taught. You don't get it. You missed that class because you have no imagination and no creativity. You're stuck on survival. You cannot survive without being creative. Invariably in life and in business, you're going to run into potholes. You're going to have bumps in the road. You're going to have to make some turns. Sometimes you might have to make a U-turn. But if you don't know how to get back on track and move forward through being smart and creative, guess what? You'll never make it to the end of the road, to where you're trying to get to, because you're just trying to survive. And that's where the media industry right now is living, in the survival mode. When was the last time you turned on your radio and you heard something that made you go, oh, wow, damn, that was good? You know, maybe one or two little morning shows are out there that might make you chuckle. You might be a dedicated fan to a Steve Harvey or Tom Joyner, but there used to be 500 of those guys. Now there's no opportunity because syndication radio has killed all of that. The hundreds and hundreds of jobs that are missing now because of syndication. Now, I'm not against syndication. I've been in syndication. I've run syndicated networks. But in the process of syndicating radio shows, you are cutting off the legs of creativity and opportunities. So if one show has 125 stations carrying a show, another one has 80 or 90, another one has got 50 or 30 or 40. If you add all of that up, you got several hundred time slots that don't exist by individuals because they're covered by a handful of shows originating from outside of those markets. no localization. That's some of the pitfalls in syndication. Something happens in Cleveland, and your show is originating out of Dallas, and the local station doesn't make you aware of it, you can't engage it. And sometimes when you are aware of it, you say, well, too bad, so sad. I'm not going to stop the clock for Cleveland. But Cleveland deserves the clock to be stopped and deal with an issue, whether it's good or bad. Part of the problem with syndication. Are there solutions? Yes. Let's develop some more real talent. Then you won't need syndication. And listen, I have some good friends that are syndicated. And I'm not speaking anything negative towards them. God bless them. But I'm more concerned about the personalities that don't have a shot today. They're sitting on the beach, that are talented, need jobs, and can't get in. Not just because of syndication, because of the jackasses in the corporate structure don't get it. Because they're covering themselves. It goes right back to that Donald Trump syndrome, which is a horrible, horrific disease. Me, my, I. So the VP of programming might be over 200-300 stations in his or her format. And he's dictating to the local program directors what they can and cannot play, who they can hire, marketing and promotional ideas. So the program director today is nothing more than a puppet. He carries out the commands from the guy up at the top. He doesn't have the ability to insert his or her creativity at their local level. That's not good for anybody involved, for the local station, for the company, for the advertisers, for the listeners. Nobody wins in that. But it's easy. Hear me clearly. It's easy for the vice president of programming because everything's the same. So if he's got 50 or 100, 300 stations that he's responsible for, he can go to sleep at night and say, I know what they're doing because all of them are doing the same damn thing. They're playing the same records, same marketing, same promotions. That, my friend, what I've learned in my 51 years of being in the broadcast business, working coast to coast and in every imaginable format, including Spanish, I can tell you that that is a critical mistake. I shouldn't be able to get in my car and drive from Los Angeles to New York, going through the South, going up the East Coast, go the northern route, go across 70 or 80, and hear the same concept, same attitude, same everything. Shouldn't happen because there are regional differences in this country. There's a Southern flavor. There's a Midwest flavor. There's a West Coast flavor. There's a New York. There's a Northeast flavor. And if you don't adhere to that, you're not going to have the success that you expect. Everybody is not the same. The expectations, the need in the various markets is different. In the South, you might have to play a little blues, a little jazz, a little Zydeco in New Orleans. I was in Houston, Texas, and I heard Magic 102 on Sunday with Lawrence Gregory Jones, a great broadcaster, doing something I thought was really weird. But then when I listened to it and I called him up and said, man, what the hell are you doing on this Sunday afternoon? He goes, man, this is the biggest show on the station because, all the people that moved down here from New Orleans after Katrina, there was this big void and need for this flavor of music. So it had the flavor of New Orleans, and then went bing, makes sense. So whoever made that decision to put that on the station down there was a good idea, because what it was doing was programming to a segment of the audience. Now, you got to be careful with those type of segmented programming, because you might alienate the rest of it. But on a Sunday show, to do 2-3 hours or something like that, it's probably fine. The ratings are there, so they're doing the right thing. So I just want to point that out and show you how there are regional differences, and it should be respected by these radio conglomerates. If they get back to that, they'll see more growth and success, and you might be able to soften the blow of the internet stations. You might. Keyword, might. Because there's a lot of talent coming out on the internet now. You might not be able to get them back. That's the way it goes. All right, I'm going to take a quick break here. Come back on the other side, and we'll chop up some more here before the end of the show. All right? Lee Michaels Show, live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, Pacific time. We'll be right back on thepowerofvoices.com.
Something for everyone is found right here on thepowerofvoices.com.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When floodwaters reach your door? When wildfires are engulfing the edge of your neighborhood? Or an earthquake is destroying buildings? Or is the best time perhaps today? During a disaster, you may not be able to stay in touch with your family or friends as easily as you think. Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey, America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
HD Care, a UCI support organization, is participating in the OC Marathon on May 1st. Huntington's disease is a genetic neurodegenerative disease. There are 30,000 Americans affected and 200,000 at risk of inheriting this fatal disease. Join HD Care at the OC Marathon in their fight against Huntington's disease. For further information, go to hdcare.org. HD Care is a support group for the UCI Foundation, a 501c3 organization.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You asked for it, and we listened. Welcome to thepowerofvoices.com.
Welcome back to the Lee Michaels Show on thepowerofvoices.com, where you hear the show live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Pacific time. And we just kind of chop it up and have a little fun, you know? We call today Throwback Thursday. And a part of my little theme here is to bring in topics that tie into the old day, bring it into the new day. And we've been talking a little bit about how back in the day, talent ruled on the radio. And not so much today. So my vote is, let's throw it back. Let's go back and get the talent and blow the stations up, make them big again. Bigger. But that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a troglodyte. Maybe I'm stuck on stupid. But I don't think so. I don't think so. Somebody called in there, but they got chicken feet. 424-227-9461 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show here. We got a few minutes left in the show, about 21 minutes. And we're calling this one Throwback Thursday. My heart is heavy, as I mentioned a few minutes ago. We lost a great broadcaster on yesterday. And I'd gotten a phone call from another mutual friend stating that Frank Hollison, King Hot Dog the Great, was ill maybe about 6 weeks or so ago, Father's Day area, around that time period, and telling me that Frank was very ill and they didn't think he would live more than 6 months. Well, he didn't quite make 6, so my thoughts and prayers goes out to his family and to all of his fans, and he had many. He also worked in Houston, Texas, KCOH back in the day. So to his fans there in Houston, in Norfolk, Virginia, and I think Frank might have worked somewhere else too, but those two markets I know for sure. He was an incredible talent. In different parts of the country, you might not know this guy, but you should have. So he came along during a time when local radio was important, and he did it to the max. So rest in peace, dog. He had many names. Never went by his real name, but we all knew him by his real name. He was called the Dog, Hot Dog, the Wiener, the Frank. He used to say, and pass the mustard if you please. See, how many air personalities today have made that kind of impression on you that you can relate to, or that you might be able to relate to 30, 40, 50 years from now? I can remember how he did what he did, some of the bits that he would do. That's a lasting impression, deep into my mind, my brain, my heart, my soul. That was real radio. When you can remember stuff from 50 years ago that a disc jockey said on the radio, he was hitting the ball out of the park. He was doing his thing. That was engaging. That was compelling. It was real. They were relating to the public, the people. That was real radio, man. And I used to go up and down the East Coast. I had relatives living up in Connecticut. And we would drive up the East Coast, leaving Norfolk, go across the Chesapeake Bay. In the beginning, it was a boat that you had to drive your car or bus or truck onto, a ferry. Then they built the 17.5-mile bridge and tunnel. You go under the water twice, and the rest of it is bridge, 17.5 miles. Then you go up the Cape Charles area up the East Coast. I think that's 13, Highway 13. You go up through Salisbury, Maryland, Dover, Delaware. Then you go into Jersey. No, Philadelphia, then Jersey. And you got a chance to listen to radio. This is back in the day of AM radio. And I was just a huge, as a kid, at 8, 9, 10, 12 years old, before I actually got into the business around 15, I used to listen to these great air personalities, man. They were phenomenal. Fat Daddy up in the Baltimore area. You know, as you're going up through Maryland, D.C., you picked up WOL, WOOK, what was the top 40 station? PGC. And you go up through the East Coast. And every city you got to was another set of great radio stations and air personalities. Butterball in Philly. You know, just great radio, man. And then when you get to New York, oh my God. That was the cat's meow. WWRL, then later on WBLS, which I got a chance to program. Great radio station. Great radio station. One of the biggest urban stations in America. Frankie Crocker. Oh, man. If nothing ever happens again in my life, I am so happy to have come along during the time that I came along. I think it was the golden years of broadcasting from about 65 to now. Great radio all over the country. I used to stay up late at night listening to my favorite radio stations coming in from New York and Detroit, Chicago, Tennessee, Indianapolis, Richmond. And I listened to all kinds of radio, talk radio, top 40, rock and roll, R&B, because I was a radio fan. I was just amazed. I was totally wrapped into it. I wanted to know why and how. Not from an ego standpoint of, hey, I want to be the guy on the radio. I wanted to know how it worked. So I had to get my FCC license. I ended up getting a first-class radio telephone license, which qualified me as an engineer. Great stories, great memories. And a lot of those guys that I grew up on are no longer around. But I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to hear and be inspired by, which I think some of the greatest radio talent of all time. And again, I really enjoyed listening to all of it. I was interested in news talk as a kid. I enjoyed the musical era between 65 and probably late 70s. It was a nice era of blend of music. And I had a chance to work in top 40 radio and R&B radio during those times. So I had a taste for everything from, Wilson Pickett, Marvin Gaye, Grand Funk Railroad, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Jackson 5, Junior Walker and the All-Stars, all that Motown stuff, Supremes, Four Tops, Temptations, Rare Earth. Man, you couldn't tell me I wasn't one of the Temptations. We'd had to fight over that. As a kid, man, I was so impressed by the tempting Temptations. How many of you used to stand in front of your mirror, either in your bathroom or in your bedroom, with a brush in your hand, pretending you were the sixth member of the Temptations? Come on. Don't lie. I know you did it. If you were a guy during the 60s and 70s, you did that. Because the Temptations was the coolest group ever. Ever. You couldn't tell me I wasn't David Ruffin. You'd have to fight me. That's fighting. It's time to fight over that one. I thought I was David Ruffin. I did. I even got me some sunglasses, the same kind of rims that he had, and took the sunglasses part out, the shaded part, and put those rims on. Ooh! Yes, I was tripping. But it was fun, man. It was so much fun. And then you find that favorite girl that you were, in love with, but she wasn't in love with you. And you sing all those Temptation songs, pretending you're singing them to her, and she never heard you sing. Thank God. But that's what we did, man. I admit, see, a lot of cats won't say, yeah, that's why I could never love another after loving you. Oh, man. And My Girl? How many times did you sing My Girl? I know you did. I even got the courage up one night here in L.A., I believe it was, and went to a karaoke bar, and they had My Girl on the list. Yes, I did it. I did it. I did it. I did it. I'll never do it again. Because singing in the bathroom or in your bedroom is a whole lot different than singing when you got 50 or 60 people sitting there looking at you like, what? See, the funny part about that is when you go out on the stage, you start singing. So you're going to start out singing the lead, right? You end up singing the background parts as well. It gets to be pretty crazy. Oh, then people will go, what is he doing? Having fun. Making a complete fool of yourself, but having fun, I went to a karaoke bar a couple of times in Las Vegas, and they had some pretty good talent coming up there. I was blown away, really. It's one of my friends. We were looking for some artists to sing on a song that he was producing, Mickey Mix and Oliver. And so we were on the hunt for talent. So we would go to this karaoke bar from time to time. It was 2 or 3 of them we hit. But one in particular, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I can't remember now. But the place was packed. If I remember correctly, it was either on a Wednesday or Thursday night. Place was packed. And a lot of people were regulars, and they kind of knew each other. So it was this, nice, friendly camaraderie, and, it felt good. So we didn't find the singer that we were looking for, but it was fun on the hunt. The things that you do, especially in the name of having fun or trying to be creative, and it goes back to what I've been saying. Creativity is the key to getting out of status quo. Creativity will get you out of the survival mode. Whether you're in the broadcast business, you're making shoes, clothes for fat girls, clothes for skinny girls. And the only reason I brought that up is because we have a couple of shows here that cater to the plus size female world. Not trying to make fun of anybody, because fat girls are cool too. But no matter what you're in right now, and if you're feeling like you're in a rut, excuse yourself from the rut, from the status quo, from that survival mode. Step away. Get away from it for a moment. If it means going down to the beach or walk in the park and just forget about all your troubles, and then come up with some creative ideas. They're called solutions to bring about the change that's necessary so that you can move forward. Then take those ideas back to your ho-hum position and apply them, if you're allowed to. And I guarantee you, you will start feeling some forward movement, because nothing moves without being creative. There will be no change if you stay with the regular. How can you expect anything to change? The world around you is changing constantly, all the time, every day, 24/7. So you expect something to change if you don't push the change button? Nothing's going to change. It's just that simple. As the old saying goes, there's no rocket science involved, and this is very simple, common sense application. I want you to think about it. Think about the problems and the situation that you're in right now, whether it's at your job or in a relationship, and you're not really happy, fulfilled, and agree with the way things are going. You got a few choices. You can pack up and leave and go to another job, if you can find one. Or you can stick and stay and appeal to the people that are in control and get them in the same mindset that, hey, we've been doing this for 20 years. And everything around us, our competition has changed. They're doing something different, more creative. They're outselling us. Why are we sitting here still making pencils manually? Really? Doesn't make sense, does it? But trust me when I tell you, there's still people doing stuff like they used to do 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Now, in some situations, it makes sense. If you're making a great hamburger and your family has been making this burger for 50 years and you got people standing in line to buy these burgers, that's something you don't want to mess with. Don't mess with that formula. If you're Coca-Cola and you've been using the same formula for a long time, or at least since they took the cocaine out of the Coke, and people have been buying it and they're still buying it at record levels, then you don't mess with that. Keep the formula. Maybe it's your marketing. You don't need to change your logo because people know that. The brand is the brand. The logo is the logo. You can put stuff around the logo like they do for Christmas and, different festive holiday periods, but the logo never changes. The brand doesn't change. The taste doesn't change. It's the marketing. It's the presentation. It's things that you can't see necessarily. It's what they change. So if you are a program director at a radio station, hopefully you're at an independent operation. You're not getting the push down from the corporate bosses that have no idea and in some cases never even been on the air. Trust me. If they were not that good. So that's the world you're living in. So you got to be creative and figure out how to get the message to the idiots without insulting them and make them think it's their idea. Plant the seed, let the tree grow. Sometimes you have to do that. That's called being creative. You might never get the credit for doing it or coming up with the idea, but your life will change. You'll be happier. You'll see some progress. You might even hit a bonus. But it's a damn shame when you got people in control and in power that won't listen to your or accept your ideas when it's something different because they didn't come up with it. And trust me, I've seen that one. I've starred in that movie. And it's not a good ending. But I've moved on. And guess what? They're still sitting there in that rut. Nothing has changed. And it won't change until they change. It's about attitude. It really is. All right, I got to pack up and get out of here. Thank you so much for being a part of the Lee Michaels Show today on thepowerofvoices.com. I do it because I love it. I come in here every day not because of a paycheck. It's not about that. It's because this is what I have in my heart. It's what I have a passion for. I enjoy this. So tell a friend. Tell them to come and soak up some of the passion I'm trying to give. powerofvoices.com. That's our website. And you can have a show on this network as well. Just contact us. And share the show. Click that share button on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you find us, YouTube. And if you missed the whole show, you can go back and listen and watch. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful and safe day. Check out the Olympics, cheer on America, and register to vote. It's your duty. Throwback Thursday is over. See you on Friday. Open Mic Friday right here on thepowerofvoices.com.